The primary causes or factors that led to the sinking of the Titanic can be attributed to a combination of several factors. 1. Collision with an iceberg. The most immediate cause of the sinking was the collision with an iceberg on the night of April 14, 1912. The ship struck an iceberg, causing extensive damage to its hull. 2. Insufficient lifeboats. The Titanic was equipped with lifeboats that could only accommodate about half of the total passengers and crew on board. This lack of lifeboats was a major contributing factor to the loss of life during the disaster. 3. Inadequate safety regulations. At the time, the safety regulations for passenger ships were not as comprehensive as they are today. The Titanic was not required to carry enough lifeboats to accommodate all passengers and crew, which led to a significant loss of life. 4. High-speed operation. The Titanic was sailing at a high speed through an area known to have icebergs. Despite receiving multiple warnings about the presence of ice in the ship's path, the speed of the ship was not reduced. This decision increased the risk of a collision with an iceberg. 5. Complacency and overconfidence. There was a general belief that the Titanic was unsinkable due to its advanced design and construction. This overconfidence led to a lack of preparedness and a failure to take appropriate precautions. Several theories and speculations have emerged surrounding the disappearance of the Titanic. While some are more widely accepted or plausible than others, it's important to note that none of these theories have been definitively proven. Here are some of the main theories. 1. Iceberg collision. The most widely accepted theory is that the Titanic sank as a result of colliding with an iceberg. This theory is supported by eyewitness accounts, the discovery of iceberg damage on the wreck, and the fact that the ship received multiple iceberg warnings prior to the collision. 2. Structural failure. Another theory suggests that the hull of the Titanic was inherently weak and prone to failure. Some argue that the ship's construction quality was compromised, making it vulnerable to the impact of the iceberg. However, this theory is less widely accepted as the iceberg collision is considered the primary cause. 3. Coal fire weakening the hull. There is a theory that a coal fire in one of the Titanic's coal bunkers weakened the hull, making it more susceptible to damage upon collision. It is suggested that the fire was burning for days or weeks before the disaster, but this theory remains speculative and controversial. 4. Switching ships theory. A lesser-known theory suggests that the Titanic was intentionally switched with its sister ship, the Olympic, as part of an insurance fraud scheme. Proponents of this theory argue that the Olympic, which had been previously damaged, was deliberately sunk as the Titanic, while the actual Titanic continued to operate under the name Olympic. However, this theory lacks credible evidence and is widely debunked. 5. Submarine sabotage. Some conspiracy theories propose that the Titanic was intentionally sunk by a submarine or another vessel. These theories often lack substantial evidence and are generally dismissed by experts. The design flaws and construction weaknesses of the Titanic played a significant role in its demise. Here are some of the key factors. 1. Insufficient compartmentalization. The Titanic was divided into watertight compartments, but they did not extend high enough to contain flooding in case of a major breach. When the ship collided with the iceberg, the water flooded multiple compartments, causing the ship to gradually sink. 2. Rivet quality and construction. The quality of rivets used in the Titanic's construction has been a subject of scrutiny. Some rivets were found to have been of lower quality, which could have compromised the strength and integrity of the hull. This, coupled with the large-scale size of the ship and its immense weight, contributed to the rapid flooding after the collision. 3. Lack of double hull. The Titanic featured a single hull design, which was common during that era. A double hull design, with an inner and outer layer, would have provided an additional layer of protection against breaches and helped prevent flooding. 4. Inadequate lifeboat capacity. The Titanic was built to accommodate a large number of passengers and crew, but the number of lifeboats on board was significantly less than what was needed to evacuate everyone safely. This flaw was due to the belief that the ship was unsinkable, and that lifeboats were primarily intended for ferrying passengers to nearby rescue vessels. These design flaws and construction weaknesses were not adequately recognized or rectified during the ship's construction phase for several reasons. 1. Time and cost constraints. The construction of the Titanic was driven by tight schedules and cost considerations. There was pressure to complete the ship quickly, leading to potential compromises in quality control and oversight. 2. Lack of regulatory requirements. At that time, maritime regulations did not impose strict guidelines on factors such such as lifeboat capacity or hull design. The existing regulations were not sufficient to address the unique challenges posed by a ship of the Titanic's size and passenger capacity. 3. Overconfidence in the ship's safety. The Titanic was celebrated as an engineering marvel and considered unsinkable by many. This overconfidence in the ship's capabilities may have led to a complacency in addressing potential design flaws or weaknesses. It's important to note that the sinking of the Titanic served as a tragic lesson that prompted significant changes in maritime safety regulations and practices worldwide. Subsequent ships were constructed with improved safety features, including double hulls, enhanced compartmentalization, and increased lifeboat capacity to prevent similar disaster confusion and delays during the evacuation. Passengers and crew were not familiar with the procedures, resulting in difficulties during the evacuation process. 3. Inadequate number of lifeboats. The Titanic carried fewer lifeboats than required to accommodate all passengers and crew on board. This was due to the prevailing regulations at the time, which were based on ship tonnage rather than passenger capacity. 4. Lack of binoculars for lookouts. The Crow's Nest lookout did not have access to binoculars on the night of the collision. This limited their ability to spot the iceberg in time and take appropriate action.